So I used to feel like I don't belong to expensive places like restaurants, but like what I would feel like I just don't belong there. Like this place is somehow better than me, something like that. And even with restaurants which may not necessarily be that expensive, but the way they are made, the way they are structured, and let's just say it looks expensive, right? That would kind of made me feel like maybe this place is just somehow better than me, maybe that I just don't belong here. So yeah, how did it happen? Why did it happen? Why would I feel this way? Why would someone feel this way? And how I dealt with it, stuff like that. Let's just talk about it. So I would do like, food delivery, right? You pick up food from a restaurant and you deliver it to the one person who has ordered it, right? And a lot of times when I would go to restaurants, especially restaurants which to me, like I feel this way that, this restaurant, I don't belong this to this restaurant. There's somehow this better than, not necessarily better than me, but like something like that, right? And what normally happens, like someone like like me who's in this situation where they're going to deliver to pick up food, right? In some restaurants you have place like a sofa where you can sit, like, and just wait for the food, and some restaurants just don't have that, right? But I would not even, like, when I would be going to pick up the food from the restaurant, right, I would just wait outside. I mean, I could go inside, and even though I may not know, like, yeah, maybe there's not place where I can sit, but at least you should go and just check, if there's place that you can sit. But I wouldn't do that. I was like, I'm alright, sitting here on the bike outside. And obviously, mainly it was just because I was just avoidant of going, like, and just like putting myself in situation where just I'm just going inside, and I just don't see any place and I'm coming outside, right? And also just I would just feel like even sitting there, that I just don't belong here, so I just probably shouldn't sit here, or like the people who have more money, more probably they belong here. Things like that, right? So that's kind of how that's how I would feel. And when the food gets prepared, on the phone you can see when it's prepared, you can see it's prepared, so you can go and pick it up, right? And as I would just go to pick it up, and I would just get nervous, right? I would kind of get sweaty as well. And and you shouldn't necessarily feel that way because it's just a place, and like, why do you feel this way? That you It's just a place, right? You go into a place and you feel nervous, and you just feel like you don't belong here, or like this place is not for you, or this is place is maybe so for some people who make more money than you, stuff like that, right? You shouldn't necessarily feel that way. Why would you feel that way, right? But that's how I felt, right? And in a lot of situations, I would just not even like where I live, it can get hot, but the average temperature is like 44, 43 degrees Celsius, right? And it can, I mean, you're just waiting outside, so you get sweaty. But uh, obviously you can wait in the shade, so not that much, but like it is hot, right? But I would not even go out inside in some restaurants to see, let's say I've gone to that restaurant the first time, right? And I'm just waiting outside, and let's just say it takes 20 minutes for them to prepare food, because it shows the time, on the phone, how long it's going to take. So I would just wait there outside, right? And even though, like, I could just go and see if there's place inside, I would sit. I would just go and sit. I would not even do that. I would just wait outside in the, just in the hot weather, and just wait basically. And I would not even go inside. And Even in some places where like had been to a restaurant before and I was like, I know that there's places to sit inside, and I would still not go because I would just feel like I just don't belong there. This place is not for me, so let's just not go there. Yeah, and I felt that way for a long time, and I was like, why would you feel this way, right? Like, why would you feel like you just go to a certain place and you get nervous, right? You get sweaty. You feel like this place is somehow better than you, or like like this place is more suitable for certain kind of people, people who just make more money, right? And that's how I would feel this way. That's how I would feel, right? And as I reached that stage where I was just uh, asking more questions a little bit, not that much, but still a little bit. And I was like, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel like, that you don't belong to these places? Like, where is this coming from? Because you shouldn't feel this way, right? Why would you feel something like this? That just going in a place you feel like you don't belong there, and like even sitting there, you feel like, I mean, I should not even sit there because I just don't belong here. And I'm like, I don't want to feel this way, right? So I was like, it's probably coming from the childhood, right? And I didn't understand that how I was like this, why I was like this, and it's just because there are two reasons. The one that I would avoid, that like me avoiding the situation that that I go inside to check if there's space to sit, right? That that behavior of me avoiding is from basically just my grandmother trying to protect me from things, when I was a child. So I wasn't really put in situations where like should be put as a child, so you believe more in yourself, so you don't avoid things, right? And obviously, I understand, my grandmother was just trying to protect me. I understand that, but too much protectiveness can really just like that make the child very like avoidant of things, right? Avoidant of situations which he has not faced before, avoidant of situations which he's uncomfortable to face and stuff like that. So that's why I would feel this way, and it's with literally everything. And like even the normal things, you would think of, I would even avoid them, like doing them, right? Like the normal things, like like I would even avoid doing them because I was just avoiding doing things. Like I kind of let that you don't want to deal with things as well, things like that. So that is the avoidance of things, and the reason I would feel that this place is somehow better than me, or that I don't belong here, is because now because of probably my parents. Now, I'm not going to say that I remember exactly what they said to me, or if I saw this, uh, like a certain behavior from them, which made me think that, maybe I would, maybe people like us, or maybe like me, or like people like us, me and my family, maybe we don't belong to places like this. I don't remember anything like that. But obviously, there are certain situations or things my parents would have said to me, which is the reason why I feel this way. That these places are just better than me. Now, obviously, yeah, I feel this way, but I do have an idea how why I just felt this way, because it's not with just this thing. It's with a lot of other things as well. And like, let me just give you examples, right? So even with people, not now, it's not much now, obviously. I've worked on that, but even with people, like especially when I was a child, I would feel like some people just are better than me, right? And I would even try to do what they do a lot of times, uh, as a child, because I just thought that they are better than me. And obviously you're a child, you don't know much, so you know like why I feel this way, stuff like that. But that's how I was. Like it's you could call this low self confidence, low self esteem, stuff like that. That's the kind of thing it comes into. And again, I can't exactly say that this was the thing, but then I can give examples that why I would feel this way and why if you would feel this way. So like, you know, I would say this the reason that I would feel like, like some kids, let's say, are better than me, right? Like even my cousins, I would feel this way. Not now, but when I was a child, I would feel this way. I remember like uh, I don't remember the age, but like I probably about 10 at that time, and I would feel like sometimes my cousins would come and I would feel like maybe they're just better than me. Whereas I would sometimes try to do things like how they're doing, and why would you do this as a child, right? And when I started to think about that, when I was just questioning this a bit, and it's because I'm sure, and I'm not like I'm sure, and I remember this too in different ways, that my parents, right? Like, I'm sure, can't be sure, but I'm sure some of you have had parents like this, not had, but like you have parents like these, and who might not say it exactly, but their behavior says that, some other kids are better than you are. And that's but that's why at least I think that I would feel this way, because a lot of times, your kids, not your kids, but your parents tell you different kind of things. Maybe this kid is better than you, right? you know your parents might say, this kid got better grades than you, you're a loser, stuff like that. Parents say that, and obviously when you're a child, obviously, it does affect you. But like, even if your parents don't necessarily say that, but their behavior shows that, right? Maybe they, like, well, when someone else's kid comes, maybe they show them more attention, give them more attention, or maybe they just things like that, right? Now as a child, you're always observing everything, so everything is just going in your mind, right? So if you see something like that, that you're okay, my parents are giving this child, let's just say, more attention, stuff like that. And a lot of times, I'm going to be honest, the reason that's happening is just because your parent thinks that the father of that child, or like the parents, they are better than them, so they would do that. Happens, so you would think that, okay, my parents are giving this kid more attention. Now, I can't say I exactly remember vividly this happening, but I can tell this probably happened in different ways, not just this way, but like different ways. So I would feel like, uh, so you would feel like, I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, technically, I would feel that like this as well at the time. They know that they're just, the kid is just better than me, right? And when as a child you see this, right, that your parents, let's say, are giving more attention to this child, right, and you're like, why are my parents giving more attention to this kid, more than they give this, the amount of attention they give me, stuff like that, or appreciation, stuff like that. So you must be thinking as a child, there must be a reason, he must be better than me, right? So you would try to, be more like him even. And I'm not going to say I tried to copy people. That's not what I would say. But I can say, like, in certain situations, I would try to act like certain kids, but not to the extent where I'm literally copying them. But certain times I remember I did that. So, like, you know, and you go through this in your life, right? And even like with parents like these, where they and obviously they feel this way too, right? Like maybe they, maybe someone else is better, which is a parent, right? So they would give that parents, whoever it is, their children more attention than you in front of you, let's just say, right? And even like, if you have parents and like in your childhood, let's say you went to a restaurant which just seemed to make, which just seemed to be expensive, or just looked expensive, and what your parents did right in the restaurant, you would see, like maybe you saw this, right? Even if you didn't, it will make sense what I'm talking about. Let's say you saw some children, they were playing in the restaurant, and you're sitting there on the table, not on the table but on the chair, there's this table here, and your parents are sitting there, and you either go to play with the kids, or you just want to go around and play, let's just say, right? Your parents say, don't do that. Or your parents say, they, don't touch this, or don't touch this glass, or don't do this. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that, stuff like that. When you have that as a child, obviously it's going to do things to you, right? So you being in situations like that, and again, this also goes, and I can actually say this as well, that I've experienced this, that in a lot of situations there might be a guest coming to your house, and your parents treat them like they're just better. Like I wouldn't exactly say that they're better, but like, how do I say this? Like, I mean, the way they are treating them kind of shows that. So you would think the same thing, right? So you would think that their kid, because, and again, if they show attention to that to them, or just have more appreciation and stuff like that, you would feel that way, right? Or like, let's say you're in someone's house and you feel like you don't belong to this house because, your parents tell you, oh, don't touch this, don't do that. And I'm not saying that, your parents should just tell you, to go touch everything, play with everything, and I understand that, right? But in a lot of situations, your parents do not have to do that. And I totally understand, I understand it happened. It happened to me, and I don't blame my parents for them. That's the most stupid thing you can do, because they feel that way too, right? You have to understand that too. They feel that way too. So you can't blame your parents for them, for these kind of things. What you have to do is you have to take responsibility that you are the one with this, and you are the one who has to deal with this, right? Blaming your parents is not the solution. I know a lot of people might feel that way, that, it's my parents' fault, you are the reason I am like this, you're the reason I'm unconfident, you're the reason I don't have any self-esteem, like low self-esteem, I have low self-esteem and stuff like that. You may feel that way, and you might blame your parents. Listen, you cannot blame them. They are just like you. The reason they are like this is most likely because their parents were like this to them. So you can't blame them. You have to take responsibility that, okay, I understand it happened the way it did, but is my responsibility now, because you know it, right? Now you know it, so you can change it, so you can work on this, right? So don't blame your parents. So yeah, in situations like this, and like the restaurant example that I gave, you and your parents are in the restaurant, and it just seems to be expensive, or maybe your parents told you that, and let's just say there are some kids playing, and the kind of parents who would be okay with, that their kids, you can go play, and obviously, and I understand, I'm not saying that, that as a parent you just let your child go anyway. Obviously that's not what I'm saying, but like, where that they're safe, right? Like where you can see them basically, right? Because they're children, obviously. So in situations like that, it's nothing wrong. And even in situations like that, your parents might have said that, you shouldn't do that. And also because, those children are just you know, maybe they are from, people like different kind of people, stuff like that. I understand, you wouldn't know those kids. That's understandable as well. But a lot of times it's also because your parents think that the parents of that child is better, are better, because they just, most of the time it's just because they have more money. And this is another thing, like money, right? It's most of the time it's related, it is related to money, right? Like your parents would treat people who have more money than basically them, your parents, how much money, let's say, they make, right? So they would treat these people who make more money than them better in front of you than, let's say, even say other people, right? Like compared to how they treat some other people. So obviously this is going to go into your mind and you're just going to think this way. And all of this, right, has effect on you. And the effect is simple, which I just said, like how I would feel this way now. It's not just one thing. It goes in literally everything. Like with the avoidance I talked about, that I would avoid doing this one thing, that I don't even go into a restaurant to see if there's place to sit. That's just one thing. I have been in situations where I've avoided things so much, to the point where I have, like, I'm, you might say that's everyone, but I'm like, and I'm not trying to complain here, by the way, but I'm just explaining things so it makes sense, that if you feel this way, why you would feel this way, and we'll talk about how you can deal with that as well. But I would feel this way, like even the things which you shouldn't necessarily avoid, I would avoid. And like even like you normally wouldn't see people avoid, I would avoid, to the point where, I just then I have to deal with them, which again, that happens to everyone basically. But I would just do this in a lot of situations, right? And you don't want to be someone like that. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not complaining about it, and I never complained about it, and I'm grateful that I have been like that. Why? Because it gives me an opportunity to create myself, right? Like who I am now, it's not really, I mean, it is me, but it's not really someone who I have created. Like I am not someone, I am me not because of me. I'm me because of my circumstances, because of how I've been treated by people, how I've been treated by my parents, stuff like that. So, just you basically the childhood, how it affects you. That's the reason why I am most of the in a lot of situations, the way that I just am, right? And I'm grateful that this is the case, because it gives me this opportunity to, you know create myself basically. I have been this person who's lazy, who's avoidant of doing things, even the most normal things. And I just feel like, I just don't belong to certain places, stuff like that. And even in this is another thing. So in my family, we don't necessarily have a car. We've never had a car, right? So I don't feel this again now, but I used to feel this way, like even when I would, let's say, sit in someone's car, I would feel like I don't belong here. I know, right? But it's probably, you can laugh at me if you want to, I understand. But it's interesting, right? Like I would feel like I don't belong. I mean, it's not my car, obviously. So from that sense, it's understandable. But like that, I shouldn't even be in this car, right? And I'm sure in certain situations, a lot of us feel that. But like in certain situations, like just this is more than it should be, and it shouldn't be like that in the first place. But it's just that with a lot of us, it is like that. But with some people, like how it is for me, it's just more. Yeah. Of like it's just more like this, right? So yeah, like you don't wanna, you don't want this, right? But then, like I said, I'm glad that this is the case that I'm just like this, why am I glad? Because, like I said, like the way I have been lazy, avoiding of things, just like that, someone like that, right? I have been there, that was not my choice. But now, knowing all of these things, if I choose to don't change myself, that's my own choice. That means I am choosing to be who I am. Because I know that I'm just like this and why I'm like this, right? So now I have a choice. Like if I remain this way, it's because I choose to remain this way. Now, obviously, it's not going to be easy, but that's the fun part. Like if it was so easy, like I would have already done it, you know. And things like that, they take time, right? I understand that. But like I said, I get to basically develop myself. Like I get to, like, how do I say this? I get to be who I want to be, basically. And that's everyone. You have a choice to be whoever you want to be. And, people say your past is not you, or like your past doesn't affect you, things like that. But that is not the case. If you think your past does not affect you, you're delusional. Most of your childhood, like who you are right now and how you think of things and stuff like that, how you feel towards a lot of things, is because of your childhood, and that's your past. So if you tell me that you're not your past, you're delusional. Now, I don't mean to say that you are your past, that you remain that way. That's not what I mean. You can change that. But what I mean is that right now, who you are is because most of it is because of what has happened in the past. And it's pretty natural, right? And in a way, it's not, I mean, I don't want to say it's not bad, but like, let's say if your past, like if you do certain things now, you work on yourself, you become a better person. Now that becomes your past. So that past, that future of you, version of you who is just better, is basically the past, because the past is basically you worked on yourself. So it's not necessary. So you can't necessarily say that the past is not you. It is you. But if you look at it like this, that how you have been in the past, that you cannot change that, then obviously that's not what I'm saying. But I hope it makes sense what I just said. So yeah, I don't complain about it. That I'm obviously it's gonna take time, so I can't say I've fully dealt with it. But yeah, so if you feel things like this in different ways, and again, I can give different examples in what ways I feel these things, but then that's just gonna make the video, like, it's gonna take hours. But let's talk about why. Let's talk about why like how I have. I wouldn't say I have dealt with it, but I mean the process of dealing with it, you could say. The first thing is that you need to deal with this is just to become aware of this. And how you become aware of this is you become aware of your thoughts. Now, when you become aware of your thoughts, what happens is, we are too attached to our thoughts. So when, like, in situation like this, let's say you are like me as well, and you feel like, you go to a restaurant which you feel like, this place is just better than me, right? When you are observant of your thoughts, you will see that as a thought. You won't see that as like I'm thinking this. Now, you might feel that way, but you will be able to observe that this is a thought. So you have an advantage here. And when you have that advantage, you're just able to have a little distance from it. I'm not going to say it's not going to affect you. It will affect you. It's like, again, it's just the first step. But observing does help a lot. So how do you start observation? I will make a different video about this, talking in detail. But basically, people talk about different things. A lot of people talk about you can do meditation. I personally don't do meditation, but meditation will help you. I personally, how I became more aware of my thoughts is just literally paying attention to your thoughts. Like the kind of thoughts you have every day. Even write them if you want to. and you will see a pattern most of the time, and question your thoughts, like where is this thought coming from, right? Just things like that. And over time, what's going to happen, you will just become more observant of your thoughts. Now again, first thing, like I said, you have to pay attention to your thoughts, like what you're thinking throughout the day. And you know what's interesting, when you start to do this more and more, you will get to a point where you will be like, you will get like, you will realize a lot of the things which you were thinking before, it's not you were, it's, you were not thinking them, it's just you were getting those thoughts in your mind and you just couldn't observe them, so you would think that you're thinking them. So yeah, first thing, to observe your thoughts, to become better at it, you just have to pay attention to your, wait a minute. Yeah, so the way you, like I said, the way you observe your thoughts, start to observe your thoughts more, you can do meditation. But what I did is, like, I looked at my thoughts, questioned my thoughts, where they're coming from, stuff like that. But I'm kind of complicating it. Let me keep it simple. Step by step. What's the first thing you should do to observe your thoughts more? Pay attention to your thoughts in this sense, like, you, if you're someone who sees, who you see yourself automatically thinking about things, what you should do is, when you catch yourself thinking that, oh, I was just automatically thinking things, so what you do is, like, you see, oh, this is what I'm thinking, but where did this come from? What was I thinking before this? Now, in the beginning, you may not be able to tell because you were just thinking automatically, but as you do this more and more, you will be able to tell, oh, this came from this thought, and this came from this thought, and this came from this thought, right? Now, it might seem complicated, but it's really not that complicated. But this is exactly what you need to do. In situations where you see yourself, like, oh, I was just thinking of something, and I don't even know. But you do know this is the thing, that, I was thinking of this, but what was I thinking, like, where did this come from? But what was I thinking before this thought, So that's what you do, and what that does is just you become more aware of your thoughts, and over time, what this specific thing is going to do, when you will be in situations like just situations like this won't happen where you don't even know what you were thinking. That just won't happen. So in that way, you will just become more observant. And the other thing is, it might not make sense now, but when you do, it will make sense. Yeah, it will make sense that how this will work, right? And it's that you question your thoughts. Now, how do you question your thoughts? Well, any thought you have, question it, right? Like how, let me give you an example. Like you feel a certain way, like, how do I say this? Wait a minute. Yeah, so questioning your thoughts. What you can do is, we can start from this way, like, look at your past, and you did certain things in your past. Question, why did you do them? Now, you might know, I did this because of this, I did it because of this, but still question, because what it's going to do is going to make it a lot more clear. This is exactly the reason why I did this. This is because this is the reason why I did this, and stuff like that. Just do that, right? And again, with even things now, you feel that, why did I feel like, why did I even feel that way? Or just basically question your thoughts. Yeah, so these are the kind of things which you can do to observe your thoughts. And now, when you reach, it will take time obviously, but when you have reached that point where you're more observant of your thoughts, I will say this, that when you are more observant of your thoughts, half of the job is done with this specific thing. Yeah, but I can't necessarily say that, that just being observant is just going to solve the problem, obviously. For me, it's just like, I have to just convince myself, like, this is just a place, right? In my mind, I might feel like, the way this place is structured or made, it makes me, feel this way, that, this place is somehow, that I don't belong here, it's somehow better than me, stuff like that. But it's not. Because even like with the people that you feel, like, let's say people who have more money than you, right? if you feel this way that they are better than you, they are still people, and that's it. They're still people. So yeah, and again, for me to go to into depth about this, it's just gonna take a long time. So I'm not gonna go that much in depth. But I do think, like, from what I've explained, a lot of it will make sense. And even if you do observation, you kind of will know what to do later with how to just when you just have arm observant of your thoughts. Yeah. So you question this, like, okay, I feel this way, but then I don't, like, this is just a place. I don't need to feel this way. And I understand that, I feel this way because of my childhood, but this is just a place, right? And, you have to actually put yourself in situations like that again and again. And, like, when you're there, you have to observe your thoughts, as you would get these kind of thoughts more. And you have to tell yourself, like, this is just a place. I know I feel this way, that this place is better than me, but or just I just don't belong here, but it's just still a place. And the reason I feel this way is just because of my childhood, right? Because a lot of people, the same situation as in you, they don't feel that way, right? So you have no reason to feel that way. And obviously, as I'm saying this to you, it's not going to do that, obviously, but again, you have to do that yourself. I can't do this for you. But I hope that makes sense, at least a little bit, of how you would go about doing it a little bit. But again, this is something that I just felt like it's important to talk about. And if someone feels that way, it might help them. No one's better than you. Now, obviously, I don't mean, if someone, let's say you're in a situation where, let's say you're playing football, if someone's better than you, they are better than you, obviously. But, like, you shouldn't necessarily, and obviously me saying this, even, like, you shouldn't necessarily feel this way, that this someone is better than you. That's not gonna make you feel that. That's not gonna make you stop feeling that way. And again, nothing I can say will just make you feel that way. You have to do it yourself. Start with the observation. I might make a video about that, how to just observe your thoughts more. It is interesting. A lot of times you're thinking things, and these are just thoughts. You just cannot observe them. But when you do start to observe them, you're like, this is just a thought. I don't need to, like, think about it. Like, like, you get a thought, and when you're able to observe, right? And normally what you would do, you would just go into the thought. I don't know how to exactly explain that, but, like, you would just pick the thought and start thinking of it, and from one thought to you go to another, and then it's just it's just cycle, whatever you want to call that. And when you can observe that, you can just stop that. So yeah, that's that. I hope the video somehow helps to some people, like, who have been in situations like the situations where I've been. But yeah, that's that.